People going without enough nutritious food remains an issue across this country, and one program in Iowa tries to help solve two problems at once: a burgeoning deer population and hunger. From Iowa Public Television, Josh Buettner explains how hunters are helping to fill empty plates.
As a hunter, that's what we want to see. That's telling us that we have a buck in the area.
As a steward of the land, Mike Nelson implements conservation practices on his farm in central Iowa's Warren County. However, one woodland creature can respond a little too well to such rural accommodations. Iowa corn and soybeans might help feed the world, but those same growing areas provide shelter and nutrition for four-legged drifters, which some landowners consider a nuisance.
They'll just devastate our crops, and if we didn't harvest some of those, we'd just get overrun and we'd have way too many deer.
But Nelson has found a way to decrease numbers in his own backyard and uproot hunger locally, thanks to a partnership between outdoorsmen, meat lockers, nonprofits, and state government.
We've got as many top 100 scored deer in the country as any other state. We've come on strong. We have one of the most in-demand non-resident deer licenses. We do limit those to 6,000, but our bow deer tags are probably the most in-demand deer license in the country.
Iowa Department of Natural Resources spokesman Mick Clemesrud says nearly 15 years ago, the DNR hatched a plan to cut back on a deer population that had become a hazard in urban areas and allow hunters to donate excess harvest to those in need. While roadkill is ineligible, what followed was the statewide HUSH program, or Help Us Stop Hunger. Officials say the program's first decade saw over 63,000 deer, equaling more than 10 million meals provided to the needy.
There's more coming.
Iowa's deer are world-class deer, and what we've done is we've structured our seasons so we can make sure that those large-bodied animals can pass their genetics on before the gun season starts. Not a lot of other states do that, and they don't have the same quality deer herd that we do.
The DNR estimates Iowa's current deer population at roughly 500,000. And while 2017's numbers await a final spring tally, 2016 saw about 2,800 deer donated, with the largest number coming from Milo, Iowa. Milo Locker co-owner Daryl Goring says that's just shy of 18,000 pounds.
We are in deer country. South central Iowa is a great place to be if you're a deer hunter, and we're just blessed to be here.
Processors receive $75 from the state for each animal. The meat is shredded and packaged in 2-pound chubs and given to food banks for distribution.
Real lean red meat. So if you're watching your cholesterol or things like that, then deer is a good thing to eat.
Goring says all parties involved benefit under the agreement, and together they've streamlined how hunters contribute.
All a hunter needs to do is legally harvest a whitetail deer, properly tag it, field dress it, bring it in. It's really, 2 minutes, and the paperwork's filled out, little index card, and he's good to go. And we take over from there.
Over 24 lockers participate in the program and work with 8 food banks serving those who are food insecure across the state. Danny Ackright, communications manager with the Des Moines-based Food Bank of Iowa, says proteins like meat are one of the most difficult nutritional products to come by. In calendar year 2017, his nonprofit received nearly 73,000 pounds of venison through HUSH. And Ackright points out the huge advantage of being able to take the show on the road.
One of the misconceptions that a lot of people have about those who are hungry is that it's an inner city problem, when really it's an everywhere problem.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
And really, in our rural communities is one of the hardest places to reach them. They may not have access to traditional food resource like a food pantry or a soup kitchen, so we have to design programs like the mobile food pantry to go in and meet those needs in those rural communities.
Venison?
Oh, I think it's great. I'm not a Des Moines driver, not even very far, so it is nice to have it come to Milo. It's really helped.
Ackright says feedback from recipients, as well as those canvassing woods and fields, has been overwhelmingly positive.
One of the things that I love to hear is when hunters tell us that they are active hush hunters. For them, it's a sport of passion. They love to do it. They will hunt and take down a deer and help feed their own family. And when they have the ability to provide that nutritious meat to a family in need, that means something to them.
Make chili with it.
Mike Nelson agrees. From tree stand or deer blind, he helps manage an Iowa resource with high reproduction rates and few, if any, natural predators.
One deer for us is plenty. Otherwise, it'd just go to waste in one of two ways. You'd either have it processed and it sit in your freezer and you never eat it, or you wouldn't harvest the deer to begin with and then you'd just be overrun with them.
For the PBS NewsHour, I'm Josh Buettner in Des Moines, Iowa.